If you're focused on TikTok and Instagram and these kind of useless activities, you won't be doing anything. You need to climb up from these normal people, and well, it's not normal actually. It's actually going towards hellfire by seeing this, watching this filth you have. You can use the social media for positive purposes. You can be the leaders of Islam. You can gain the basic knowledge of Quran and Sunnah and fiqh. Even taking out trash from the way is a part of Iman. And when we go to the Prophet ﷺ at the time of judgment, when we will be raised, and when the Prophet ﷺ would ask, what did you do of my ummah? My ummah was being killed. They were being lured into atheism and disbelief. What did you do? And we could have an answer, Ya Rasulullah, I played my part. That's my message. One who's most beneficial to the community. So we should try to think of ways how we can be beneficial to the community. Even taking out trash from the way is a part of Iman. Because the Prophet said this is a type of Iman, that if you find trash, especially my dear brothers, it's a very unfortunate thing. And we all know that if you go to Muslim neighborhoods, you'll find trash on the roads. You'll find trash on the footpaths. What kind of Muslims are we? I mean, even those who don't believe, who don't have a sense of akhirah, they make their streets and the footpaths clean. So it's our duty that we should have something, a bag with ourselves. Or even if you see a box, a cardboard in your way, just put it and throw it in the trash bin. Many brothers, they're just kicking trash. They're playing with it. It's not like that. We have to actually we have to take care of that. That's our human responsibility, that's our Muslim responsibility. So make a resolution, inshallah. We won't harm anyone with our hands, with our tongue, inshallah. Okay? No swearing to anybody. No bad words to anybody, inshallah. We all ready, inshallah? This is our 2025 resolution, and we will be playing our responsibility towards a better Muslim, inshallah. Muslims who are preaching with their actions, not with their words, inshallah. And my last message, the Jummah has been actually forwarded 10 minutes. So it's the khutbah would be at in 12:40 from today, inshallah, and the second one would be 1:40. So my last message is to our future leaders. So because of the school holidays, we have many shining faces in front of us, mashallah. That's why I'm doing it in English. So actually, the leadership of Islam and the rise of Islam from the time of Prophet ﷺ until now, one of the core roles was of the youth. So we see the major Sahabas who made the biggest conquest, the major Sahaba who delivered the knowledge of Prophet ﷺ to us, they were youth. We know Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, don't we? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was in the teens. And he was the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. So he used to spend sleepovers with the Prophet ﷺ. Imagine sleepovers with some pious person in his home learning from him. And he used to wake up with the Prophet ﷺ at tahajjud and used to learn from him. And by the age of 20, he was one of the biggest mufassir of the Quran, the interpreter of the Quran, of the exegesis. So the Prophet ﷺ, because he was so obedient, always had the zeal to gain the knowledge of Islam and the golden words of Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet put his hand on his chest and he said, Allahumma allimhu al-kitab wal-hikmah. Oh Allah, teach him the book. Which book? The Quran. And hikmah, wisdom. It was that time the biggest Quran commentator of history is who? It's Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and his 6 students. All tafsir actually flows, the ilm of tafsir till now, all tafsir written for the last 1400 years are actually have a source from Ibn Abbas and his students. You can be one of them. carrying the knowledge of Quran to the future generations. And when you will go paradise, inshallah, you will have the reward of all those coming generations who will have benefit from the knowledge of Quran and Tafsir. Are you ready? We know Usama ibn Zayd. He was 18 years old. 18 years old. He was the son of Zayd ibn Thabit, who was taken as a son of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kind of a spiritual grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was 18 when the last expedition the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam launched towards the Roman Empire. And he was 18, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made him a general. And there were elders like Abu Bakr and Umar and Sahaba with the age of 50 and 55. They were the soldiers and he was the elder. When the Prophet ﷺ died, Usama bin Zayd, the expedition of Usama bin Zayd did not leave. It was just waiting. The Prophet died, the Sahaba had an argument. Should we make Usama as a general or not? So they reminded many other Sahaba, they reminded him that at the time of Prophet, you were actually having an argument on that he should be a leader or not. Such a young guy, right? You look at that, he's 18. And the Prophet ﷺ, I have chosen him because some traits in him. And then he was made the general. And he left. So it was the first expedition at the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Salahuddin Ayyubi. How many Salahuddins we need now because of the onslaught and the massacre and the genocide being happening in Palestine in front of our eyes. And at the age of 21, he was made a general under the stewardship of Nuruddin Zangi. And then he started raising armies and fighting with the Crusades and defeating them again and again and raising his armies and making a great civilization until, in a very tender age, Salahuddin Ayyubi finally conquered Jerusalem. And when the Crusaders, they had the same thing we are witnessing now. 900 years ago it was saying they had actually blood-bathed the whole of Jerusalem. And it's in the history written by American and British scholars that when they entered Jerusalem, they actually killed everyone. And the knees of their horses, of the Crusaders, they were drenched in blood. That was the bloodbath they did. And when Salahuddin entered, he forgave everyone. Everyone. All the soldiers who killed Muslim women and orphans. He forgave everyone. And even he gave them a safe passage under the surveillance of his army back toward the lands. And he washed the Masjid al-Aqsa, our heart, our third Qibla, our first Qibla and our third most precious site. He washed the whole Masjid al-Aqsa with rose water. That's what Salahuddin Ayyubi was in his teens. The conquest of Constantinople, Turkey, as we say, modern Turkey, when the Prophet ﷺ said that the army who will conquer Constantinople would be the best of among you. And who was he? Can anybody say the name? Who conquered? Sultan Ahmad. He was in his 20s. And that was how he could. So you could do wonders, but we need you to move away from TikTok and Instagram. If you're focused on TikTok and Instagram and these kind of useless activities, you won't be doing anything. You need to climb up from these normal people, and well, it's not normal actually. It's actually going towards hellfire by seeing this, watching this filth we have. You can use the social media for positive purposes. You can be the leaders of Islam. You can gain the basic knowledge of Quran and Sunnah and Fiqh. And then you can have those leadership skills, the management skills, healthcare professionals, lawyers, ulama, du'at and preachers of Islam. And we all together, inshallah, be someone who could make a difference. And when we go to the Prophet ﷺ at the time of judgment, when we will be raised, and when the Prophet ﷺ would ask, what did you do of my ummah? My ummah was being killed. They were being lured into atheism and not disbelief. What did you do? And we could have an answer, Ya Rasulullah, I played my part. That's my message on the beginning of 2025, especially my shining faces, my youth, and our futures.